The miracle doctor won't be a kept man. My heart belongs ashore. Chapter 1001. Kiran, be careful! Lilian Yanes shouted as she saw the sudden change. She quickly channeled her energy and pushed her hands forward, attacking the black and red dragon shadow. Bang, bang, bang! A series of loud noises echoed in the air. The black and red dragon shadow split into two parts. The red part rushed towards Kiran, while the black part entered Jenny Leo's body. Ah! Lilian screamed in pain as she was thrown back. Ah! Kiran and Jenny both cried out simultaneously. The entire cave fell silent. Kiran, Jenny, and Lilian lay on the ground, unconscious. The black and red dragon shadow had completely disappeared. The cave returned to its usual state of redness, and everything seemed peaceful and normal again. It was unclear how much time had passed when Kiran opened his eyes and saw Jenny lying on top of him. He quickly shook her, calling out, "Jenny, wake up!" Jenny opened her eyes, a look of surprise on her beautiful oval face. Then her eyes widened as she shouted, "Kiran, you violated me!" "What nonsense are you talking about?" Kiran scolded, quickly getting up to check on Lilian. Lilian, hearing their voices, also woke up. She rubbed her aching body and was about to sit up when Kiran lifted her. Feeling the warmth and nakedness of Kiran's body, Lilian's cheeks flushed red. She quickly said, "I'm fine." "How's Jenny?" "She won't die," Kiran replied, irritated at Jenny's earlier accusation. "Damn you, Kiran! What are you talking about? Are you wishing for my death?" Jenny shouted angrily at Kiran. Kiran glared at Jenny. "Look at you. You're perfectly fine now, aren't you?" "You." Jenny stood up furiously, pointing at herself. "Where are my clothes? Who undressed MME? Stop arguing." "It was all for survival," Lilian sternly interjected. "Sister Lilian, you must stand up for me. Kiran bullied me," Jenny cried to Lilian. Lilian felt a mix of emotions but nodded. "I understand." She turned to Kiran. "Let's gather ourselves and leave quickly. We need to find Horace Moore and Taoist Master Caleb." Kiran, thinking of their cruelty, felt a cold rage. "Okay. 3 dragon veins remain. They must not be harmed," Lilian murmured. Kiran calculated the time. 2 more days had passed, bringing them closer to the 1-month deadline set by Lady Meiji. He felt a growing sense of urgency. The 3 of them left. Lilian drove to the city, where she bought clothes for Kiran and Jenny. After a quick wash and a meal, they prepared to set off again. As Kiran was about to ask for the next location, Jenny, sitting in the back seat, let out a sinister laugh. The small car was filled with a chilling laugh that sent shivers down Kiran and Lilian's spines as if they had heard a ghost. They quickly turned to look at Jenny. Her eyes were fixed forward, her face seemed to turn black, her body emitted a cold aura, and her eyes flickered with a cold light. "Oh no," Lilian muttered, looking at Kiran. "When that black and red dragon shadow attacked, I remember a black shadow entering Jenny's body. Could this be the cause?" Kiran, shocked by the news, asked, "Jenny, how do you feel?" Jenny didn't respond. Kiran was about to get out of the car to check on Jenny when she suddenly returned to normal. "Are you going to bully me again?" she asked Kiran. Kiran was speechless and even more worried. Had she gone mad? Lilian's eyebrows furrowed in worry. She had a bad feeling about this, especially considering that Taoist Master Caleb had used the umbilical blood of so many pregnant women and infants to nourish the dragon vein of 5 Rams Mountain. It was undoubtedly polluted and had absorbed a lot of evil energy. "We need to head to Phoenix Cry Mountain quickly," Lilian said to Kiran. "Phoenix Cry Mountain?" Kiran asked. Lilian nodded. "Yes, it's said to be a place of dragon and phoenix harmony. Hopefully we can find a solution there." Kiran glanced at Jenny, knowing she was increasingly unstable. Thinking of Little Mischief's condition, he was even more eager to resolve the issue quickly. If Little Mischief became another black and red dragon shadow, it would be disastrous. Kiran nodded and started the car, speeding towards Phoenix Cry Mountain. The journey was nerve-wracking, with Jenny alternating between normal and strange behavior, making Kiran and Lilian feel like they were on a roller coaster. In his rush to reach Phoenix Cry Mountain, Kiran drove recklessly, often overtaking other cars and speeding. Fortunately, the car belonged to Easton Moore, who was now dead, so the situation didn't matter anymore. They arrived at Cloud City, where Phoenix Cry Mountain was located. It was nighttime. Exiting the highway, Kiran slowed down and asked Lilian, "Should we go to the mountain tonight or wait until tomorrow?" "Tomorrow," Lilian replied. Kiran nodded and drove into the city to find a place to stay. After driving around, they found a hotel called Sea and Sky Hotel, which looked decent. He parked and led Lilian and Jenny inside. The receptionist, seeing them enter, greeted them warmly. "Do you need rooms?" Kiran nodded. "Yes, we need 3 suites." "I'm sorry, sir, we have none available," the receptionist said politely. "Then 3 standard rooms," Kiran suggested. "We don't have any standard rooms left either," the receptionist responded with a smile. Kiran was stunned. What rooms do you have? We have no rooms left at all, the receptionist apologized. You're fully booked? Kiran asked in disbelief. The receptionist nodded. Yes, all the hotels in Cloud City are likely fully booked right now. Kiran and the others were taken aback by this. Chapter 1002. Are you deceiving us? Jenny Leo asked angrily, stepping forward to confront the receptionist. The receptionist shook her head at Jenny, saying, I'm not deceiving you. We really are fully booked, and we don't have any rooms left. The receptionist looked at the three of them and continued, Why? Lilian Yanez inquired. It's said that tomorrow there will be the cry of the Phoenix at Phoenix Cry Mountain. So many people have come here to witness this once-in-a-lifetime event. That's why Cloud City is filled with visitors, the receptionist explained. The three of them exchanged glances, finally understanding but also feeling shocked. What a coincidence! I'll check online. Jenny, always curious, opened her phone and began searching. Sure enough, the hot topic was this event, with many related reports. The locals had even used it as a promotional gimmick to boost tourism. Wow, we're so lucky to hear the Phoenix's cry, Jenny excitedly said to Kiran and Lilian. The two of them didn't speak, just nodded slightly. Lilian, however, looked worried. This was the first time she had heard of such a phenomenon. The legend of Phoenix Cry Mountain was one of dragon and phoenix harmony, but what did a phoenix cry signify? Could it be a sign of sorrow for the world? The more Lilian thought about it, the more uneasy she felt. Kiran sensed Lilian's concern and gently held her hand, soothing her, Don't worry. Lilian refocused and said to Kiran, Let's go out and find another place to stay. Kiran nodded. The three left Sea and Sky Hotel, got in the car, and continued searching for a hotel. The receptionist hadn't lied. Many hotels were indeed fully booked. Finally, they found a small inn with a room available. Even so, it was a room for 3 people. Kiran didn't mind. Lilian felt a bit uneasy. On the other hand, Jenny was quite happy and asked Kiran, Will you sneak into our bed at night? Kiran, seeing Jenny about to start acting crazy again, lay down and ignored her. You should be thrilled to sleep with 2 beautiful women, Jenny said, intentionally taking off her shoe and throwing it at Kiran. Kiran instinctively caught the flying shoe. Are you going to kiss my shoe? Jenny teased, looking at Kiran with the shoe in hand. Kiran rolled his eyes. You wish. Stop it, get some rest. Tomorrow won't be easy, Lilian intervened to calm things down. Kiran, if you take advantage of me again, I'll cut you, Jenny threatened, waving her hands angrily at Kiran. Kiran didn't respond and turned over to sleep. Lilian turned off the lights and the 3 of them lay down to sleep. However, none of them could sleep, feeling a bit awkward. If it were just Kiran with either one of them, it wouldn't be awkward. But being in the same room with both women felt somewhat risque. Kiran tried to calm his breathing and soon began to relax and doze off. Lilian also gradually calmed down. Jenny, however, was restless, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. Eventually, she got out of bed, ignoring whether Lilian was asleep, and climbed into Kiran's bed. Kiran, half asleep, woke up instantly when he felt Jenny climb in. He was about to speak, but Jenny covered his mouth, signaling him to stay quiet. Kiran felt exasperated. Wasn't this like covering one's ears while stealing a bell? Even if Lilian didn't sense her approach through her martial arts skills, she could feel it through their emotional connection. Go back to sleep, Kiran whispered. No, I won't sleep unless you hold me. Jenny boldly hugged Kiran, her eyes filled with excitement. Kiran, unable to anger Jenny, tried to coax her gently. You need to go back or Sister Lilian will be upset. I don't care. I'm not going back. You can try to make me, Jenny pouted stubbornly. Kiran had no choice but to sit up and get out of bed. Unless you stay awake all night, I'm sleeping in your arms, Jenny declared firmly. That's not going to happen. Please stop this, Kiran pleaded. Are you rejecting me? Jenny raised her voice. Fearing she would wake Lilian, Kiran quickly covered Jenny's mouth. Jenny, infuriated by this, started kicking and scratching like a madwoman. Kiran had to use more force to restrain her, which only made her angrier. She started biting him. You might as well just hold her and sleep, Lilian suggested. Kiran felt his head swell with frustration. Did you hear Sister Lilian? Jenny said proudly to Kiran. Kiran, annoyed, smacked Jenny lightly on the body. You're always causing trouble. Kiran, I'm mad, no! Jenny yelled. Kiran looked over at Lilian's bed, feeling helpless. I'll kill you! Jenny's voice turned cold, and an inexplicable chill enveloped Kiran. Kiran felt as if death itself had targeted him and instinctively raised his hand to defend himself. Bang! Jenny swatted Kiran's hand away, sending him flying across the room. Kiran managed to steady himself mid-air using his energy. Lilian turned on the light with a click. Kiran and Lilian looked at Jenny, who appeared as terrifying as she had in the car earlier. They were both stunned by how frightening Jenny had become. "Kiran, if you make me unhappy, I'll get angry. I don't know if I might kill you," Jenny said, her voice cold as ice. Kiran and Lilian exchanged a worried glance, thinking, has Jenny been possessed? The black evil aura from the black and red dragon shadow filled them with dread. "Kiran, sleep with me," Jenny demanded, her voice like a demon's command. Chapter 1003. Sleep together? Kiran York was speechless. Jenny Leo truly was like a little girl. Her mood swings were unpredictable. "Kiran, hold her while she sleeps," Lilian Yanez said to Kiran just as he was about to refuse outright. Kiran paused and looked at Lilian, feeling a sense of guilt. Lilian's face was filled with worry, her eyes frequently glancing at Jenny's terrifying face, clearly concerned about another outburst. Kiran suddenly understood that the black force within Jenny was mixed with motherly love tainted by anger and hatred, causing the spirits to be both resentful and spiteful. This made Jenny, who now harbored this force, even more in need of love. Originally, Little Mischief was just a tiny creature needing love like a growing child. With these evil forces, the need for love has become twisted and distorted. Kiran felt a deep sense of helplessness. "Are you going to agree or not?" Jenny asked impatiently when Kiran didn't respond. Kiran had no choice but to gently hold Jenny. Once in Kiran's embrace, Jenny seemed to enter a state of security, her face blossoming into a happy and radiant smile. At this moment, Jenny was like a completely different person from the one who had almost succumbed to madness moments before. Kiran, having no other choice, gently held Jenny, stroking her back as one would soothe a frightened child. "I'm tired. I want to sleep," Jenny said, wrapping her arms around Kiran and nestling into his chest. Kiran lay down on the bed, holding Jenny, his heart filled with complex emotions. He felt like he was betraying both Lilian and his wife, Snow Xander. Yet the fate of the two dragon veins Jenny carried was crucial, leaving him no choice but to take care of her. Kiran's mind was a tangled mess as he held Jenny. She slept soundly, but he could not fall asleep. On the other bed, Lilian also lay awake, her face tense and complicated, and she was unable to rest properly either. After Jenny fell asleep, Kiran moved to her bed and sat cross-legged, meditating to regain his energy. Neither Kiran nor Lilian got a good rest because of Jenny's disturbance. Around 5 in the morning, Kiran heard the sound of car horns and commotion outside, indicating it was getting busy. He put on his shoes and stepped out. He saw many cars parked at the entrance. Or rather, they were stuck in a traffic jam. This was a regular street in Cloud City, not a main road, but it was already so congested. The main roads must be even worse. Kiran guessed that everyone was heading to Phoenix Cry Mountain, causing the traffic jam. He returned to the room and saw Lilian was already up. "The roads outside are jammed. We might have to walk to Phoenix Cry Mountain," Kiran told Lilian. "All right, let's get ready and head out," Lilian said as she walked to the bathroom. Kiran went to Jenny's bed and gently stroked her forehead, whispering in her ear, "Jenny, wake up." Jenny yawned and stretched lazily, wrapping her pale, lotus-like arms around Kiran's neck. Kiran couldn't push her away and let her hold him. Jenny opened her beautiful almond eyes, her pretty oval face lighting up with a happy smile. Seeing Jenny, Kiran thought of Little Mischief. The current Jenny was cute, like Little Mischief, and like a growing girl who was becoming more beautiful. He even wondered if she would become a little dragon girl someday. Kiran shook his head and smiled at the thought. "What are you laughing at?" Jenny asked, blinking her eyes. "I'm laughing at you," Kiran replied. "What about me is funny? If you had a child, would you compete for affection with it?" Kiran couldn't help but tease. "So, you're planning to have a child with me?" "That's great," Jenny said happily, lifting the blanket as if inviting Kiran to join her. Kiran quickly stopped her, lightly brushing her cheek. "Stop messing around and get up. The road to Phoenix Cry Mountain is blocked." "Why go there? It's tiring. Staying in bed is better," Jenny pouted, clearly disappointed. Kiran had no choice but to carry her in his arms. Jenny, who had been clinging to Kiran's neck, felt joyful being carried and hugged him tightly. Kiran couldn't reject her and let her be. After a while, Jenny finally got off and said, "I'm happy today, so I'll go with you to Phoenix Cry Mountain." "Thank you, Miss Jenny," Kiran said teasingly. "You should thank your wife," Jenny retorted playfully. Kiran was at a loss for words and could only smile and shake his head. Jenny's face beamed with triumph, like a victorious soldier. The three quickly packed up and left the small inn. Outside, the traffic had worsened, with many people peeking out of their car windows, looking anxiously ahead. "Let's go," Lilian said calmly, walking forward. Kiran followed, holding Jenny's hand. The three of them soon left the main road and took a smaller path. They found that even the small path was crowded with people who, seeing the traffic, had decided to walk to Phoenix Cry Mountain. "It seems this Phoenix Cry has piqued many people's curiosity," Kiran said to Lilian. "A Phoenix Cry that happens once in a century is a lucky thing to witness, so of course many are interested," Jenny said proudly. "A once-in-a-century event. Let's hope we don't miss it," Kiran said with excitement and anticipation. He hoped the Phoenix Cry would help change Jenny's condition. On the other hand, Lilian was focused on the legend of the dragon and Phoenix harmony. Chapter 1004. 1 hour later, Kiran York, Lilian Yanez, and Jenny Leo had finally reached the start of the traffic jam. They would have made it much faster if it weren't for the crowded streets and the need to avoid drawing attention. They saw numerous cars queued up, with drivers anxiously searching for parking spots. Despite many traffic police officers desperately trying to direct traffic, the situation was chaotic. Cloud City had done an excellent job promoting the event, but they hadn't anticipated such a large influx of people nor considered the resulting traffic jams. Early arrivals had abandoned their cars and rushed towards Phoenix Cry Mountain, causing severe congestion for those behind. "These people are so selfish," Jenny angrily remarked. "Forget it. This has nothing to do with us. Let's hurry up the mountain," Lilian reminded Jenny and quickly started towards Phoenix Cry Mountain. Kiran said nothing, following behind Lilian and holding Jenny's hand. He was worried about any unexpected incidents with Jenny and kept her close, especially as they neared Phoenix Cry Mountain. They soon reached the foot of the mountain, only to find it surrounded by high walls, with the only gate tightly locked. The city had sealed it off entirely to prevent unauthorized access to the mountain during the Phoenix Cry. They noticed many drones hovering in the sky, capturing footage, while several people below were live streaming and discussing the event excitedly. Kiran, Lilian, and Jenny circled to a secluded area, scaled the wall, and entered Phoenix Cry Mountain. Meanwhile, at the mountain's peak, Horace Moore and Taoist Master Caleb observed the scene below. They had hurried to the mountain upon hearing about the event, hoping to tap into the dragon vein's power. As Kiran and his group approached, Horace and Caleb had already spotted them from the peak. "Today's Phoenix Cry Mountain will be full of unexpected events," Horace stated confidently. "I just want Kiran dead. Only then will my hatred be quelled," Taoist Master Caleb seethed, having sensed the disappearance of the black and red dragon shadow. His hatred for Kiran had only intensified. "I hope Kiran doesn't disrupt our plans. We need to secure the dragon vein smoothly," Horace replied, scanning Phoenix Cry Mountain, seemingly searching for the dragon vein's location. Despite having already scoured the mountain, they hadn't found any entrance to a dragon vein cave. Typically, dragon veins had accessible caves, but Phoenix Cry Mountain had none. Frustrated by their fruitless search, they now stood atop the mountain, waiting for an opportunity. "Elder Logan guards Phoenix Cry Mountain," Caleb mentioned to Horace. "Elder Logan is a true master, not a novice like you," Horace teased, smiling at Caleb. Though angered by the mockery, Caleb responded calmly. "Specialization in each field, that's all. My strength lies not in martial arts." "However, you failed to protect the dragon vein of 5 Rams Mountain, didn't you?" Horace retorted without mercy. "Horace, don't go too far. I am not to be trifled with," Caleb warned, his anger flaring. Horace laughed. "I was just joking to pass the time. Why take it seriously?" Caleb snorted in annoyance but said nothing. Horace's expression turned serious as he continued. "Phoenix Cry Mountain lacks a cave and we can't find Elder Logan. Something is definitely wrong. Could Elder Logan also be stealing the dragon vein?" Caleb speculated. Horace shook his head firmly. "Elder Logan wouldn't do something like that." Caleb glared at Horace, angered by the insinuation. Unfazed, Horace explained, "Years ago, Axel Yanez carefully selected people like you to guard the dragon veins." Caleb, showing pride, replied, "Yes, I have support behind me, but you don't need to know who." "I don't care who backs you. It's irrelevant to me," Horace said dismissively. "I just want the power of the dragon vein. With it, I can become unstoppable." Caleb didn't respond, and his face was complex with emotions. Everyone desired power, himself included, which was why he coveted the dragon vein. However, the path to power was never simple, and the outcome was uncertain. As they passed time conversing, Horace's main regret was not discovering who supported Caleb. Meanwhile, Kiran, Lilian, and Jenny searched Phoenix Cry Mountain for the dragon vein but encountered the same problem, no sign of it. "Isn't anyone guarding Phoenix Cry Mountain?" Kiran asked Lilian. "There is, but Elder Logan is elusive. No one knows what he's like," Lilian responded. "Could he be like Taoist Master Caleb, stealing from his post?" Kiran speculated. Lilian shook her head firmly. "Caleb is a scoundrel, but Elder Logan is a true master." Relieved by Lilian's high regard for Elder Logan, Kiran still felt uneasy. With the mountain so quiet and Elder Logan absent, could Phoenix Cry Mountain be in danger? As Kiran spoke, he glanced at the enthusiastic crowd below, his worry deepening. Before Lilian could reply, the mountain began to resonate with a cracking sound. Chapter 1005. The sound was loud, deafening, and echoed through the sky. Kiran York, Lilian Yanes, and Jenny Leo all looked in the direction of the noise, only to realize it seemed to be coming from all around the mountain. Birds and wild animals were frantically fleeing the area. Below, the visitors and live streamers also started to become excited, shouting towards the mountain as if greeting it. "These people are so foolish. They don't realize the danger," Jenny suddenly remarked, breaking her silence. Her comment made Kiran even more tense. He instinctively asked, "Are you sensing something?" "There's a powerful force surging below as if the entire mountain is about to erupt like a volcano," Jenny replied, looking at Phoenix Cry Mountain. Kiran's mind buzzed with worry. If the mountain erupted, everyone below would be in grave danger. "Do you know where it is? Take me there quickly," Kiran urged, grabbing Jenny's hand. "Why rush? Let them fight it out below. It's better if they exhaust themselves," Jenny replied nonchalantly, teasing Kiran. Kiran felt helpless and looked at Lilian. Could Elder Logan have sealed off the Dragonvane's cave to hide it? Lilian pondered aloud. Kiran's heart sank. This so-called Phoenix Cry could be extremely dangerous if that's the case. He glanced at the oblivious crowd below, feeling even more anxious. "It's about to come out," Jenny exclaimed excitedly. Kiran anxiously scanned their surroundings. Boom! A loud rumble came from the mountainside. Rocks tumbled down, crushing trees, and a shadowy figure was seen flying out from the midst of the debris. "Elder Logan is injured," Lilian shouted, leaping into the air to rescue him. "I'll take Jenny into the cave," Kiran shouted to Lilian, sensing a powerful force about to erupt. "All right, see you soon," Lilian replied, quickening her pace. Elder Logan, coughing up blood, was caught by Lilian just before he hit the ground. Kiran and Jenny rushed into the cave. At the mountain peak, Horace Moore and Taoist Master Caleb watched in shock. Neither moved, both thinking the same. Let the others fight while they reap the benefits. "Elder Logan, are you all right?" Lilian asked. Elder Logan, a tall and robust elderly man with white hair and beard, looked pale and weak. Lilian placed her hand on his back, helping him channel his energy. Elder Logan coughed up more blood but looked slightly better, his breathing stabilizing. "You must leave quickly. Warn everyone below, too. The mountain is about to explode," he urged. "Has the Dragonvane's power been contaminated?" Lilian asked. "The Dragon and Phoenix forces are clashing violently. I tried to mediate, but the backlash almost killed me," Elder Logan explained, his eyes filled with sorrow. Lilian thought of Kiran and Jenny in the cave, her heart racing. "Elder Logan, take care of yourself. I need to save Kiran and Jenny." She released him and dashed into the cave. Elder Logan, taking deep breaths, followed. He did not even ask Lilian how she knew him. Inside, the cave glowed an intense red, like burning flames threatening to consume everything. Kiran and Jenny felt the heat and quickly channeled their energy to resist. Boom! They were hit by powerful forces, flying like kites with broken strings. Mid-air, they managed to steady themselves, hovering in place. When they turned to face each other, their eyes were filled with hatred. "I'll kill you!" Jenny shouted at Kiran. "You think you can? I'll kill you first," Kiran retorted. "Die!" Jenny pushed her palms forward, sending a fiery force toward Kiran. Kiran countered with his own energy. The cave rumbled like thunder, and Lilian, just entering, was nearly thrown out. "Are you crazy?" Lilian shouted at them, feeling a foreboding sense of doom. "The Dragon and Phoenix forces possess them, fighting to the death," Elder Logan, arriving behind her, said with a tense face. Lilian's face turned pale. She hadn't anticipated the forces being strong enough to possess them. She thought of Little Mischief's power within Jenny and feared for Kiran's safety. "Elder Logan, is there any way to help them?" she asked urgently. Elder Logan shook his head. "There's nothing we can do. It's up to their fate." Lilian's heart pounded with fear. Kiran and Jenny were locked in a fierce battle, their hatred palpable. They fought like lifelong enemies, each determined to kill the other. Chapter 1006. "Elder Logan, what exactly is going on?" Lilian Jans asked anxiously. "The so-called harmony of the Dragon and Phoenix at Phoenix Cry Mountain is a false legend. The truth is that the mountain holds the soul of a phoenix and the power of a Dragonvane, both trying to devour each other," Elder Logan said, his face filled with worry. Lilian felt her head spin with this revelation, but still asked, unwilling to accept it, "Is it really not the harmonious legend of the Dragon and Phoenix? I've been guarding this place for over 30 years, and in all that time, these two forces have never merged. Instead, they've been silently battling underground," Elder Logan explained. Lilian felt the situation was like a love-hate relationship between a couple, intertwined with both love and resentment. "You bastard, I'm going to kill you!" Jenny Leo's voice rang out again, her hands moving like the wings of a phoenix as she flew towards Kiran York. "You're overestimating yourself," Kiran responded arrogantly as if Jenny was trying to take something that belonged to him. Kiran moved his hands, causing the entire Phoenix Cry Mountain to tremble. A vast, invisible force swept toward Jenny like a hurricane. "This is my place. You have no right to it," Jenny yelled, spewing red flames from her mouth. "Shameless!" Kiran insulted Jenny, his hands moving even more fiercely, deflecting the flames in all directions. The flames landed on the trees, instantly igniting them and creating a sea of fire. "This is bad. At this rate, the entire Phoenix Cry Mountain will burn down," Elder Logan said urgently to Lilian. Lilian looked down the mountain and saw tourists still approaching, some even staying despite the fire. Her heart filled with anxiety and helplessness. She shouted to Jenny and Kiran, "You are lovers, partners, a married couple." She hoped to evoke their deep love for each other and stop the madness. "He bullied me. I must kill him," Jenny screamed, her anger intensifying, "and you couldn't stay faithful, running around everywhere." "I will kill you," Kiran shouted back, both unleashing their attacks. They fought like fierce forces clashing, causing landslides, toppling trees, and scattering birds and beasts. Phoenix Cry Mountain became a scene of devastation. Horace Moore and Taoist Master Caleb watched from the peak, astonished by what they saw. "What's happening?" Horace asked Caleb. Caleb smiled with a hint of joy. "It seems the Dragon Vein and the Phoenix were a love-hate couple." "A couple?" Horace asked, bewildered. "Yes, they must have been lovers who turned to hate, which is why they despise each other so much," Caleb speculated, chanting softly. Horace watched Caleb in amazement. "I've got it," Caleb suddenly shouted with excitement. "What did you discover?" Horace asked urgently. They were lovers in life, but misunderstood each other, thinking the other didn't love them and had other partners. "So, they died together out of spite," Caleb explained. Horace scoffed. "Are you kidding me? How could it be related to humans?" He believed it was a battle between the Dragon Vein and the Phoenix, doubting Caleb's story. "Believe it or not, that's the truth. Their fight will continue unless their love is resolved," Caleb said, hoping for their continued clash. "You want them to destroy each other so we can take the Dragon Vein's power?" Horace asked. "Exactly. I want them to fight to the death," Caleb confirmed, looking forward to it. Meanwhile, Kiran and Jenny fought with increasing ferocity, determined to kill each other. Their intense battle caused chaos on Phoenix Cry Mountain, scaring the people below. Despite being a woman, Jenny's power from Little Mischief wasn't enough against Kiran's attacks. Her voice grew desperate, sounding eerily like a phoenix cry, adding to the fear below. Lilian stomped in frustration, unable to help. She tried using her emotional connection with Kiran, but to no avail. The Dragon Vein's power had overwhelmed Kiran's emotions. Elder Logan, feeling guilty, lamented, "Axel Yays, I failed you. I couldn't guard the Dragon Vein." His remorse deepened Lilian's anxiety. Kiran and Jenny gathered their strength for a final attack. A giant red dragon appeared behind Kiran while a phoenix emerged from Jenny, both ready to clash. They looked like vivid, deadly avatars in a game about to deliver a fatal blow. "Your time has come," Kiran and Jenny shouted in unison. Chapter 1007. As the voices faded, Kiran York and Jenny Leo, like two swirling tornadoes, charged at each other. The massive dragon shadow behind Kiran opened its mouth, spewing flames aiming to burn Jenny to ashes. The phoenix wings behind Jenny also flapped, emitting a screech, and she fearlessly breathed fire back at Kiran. However, Jenny's strength seemed weaker, and she was on the verge of being overwhelmed by Kiran. At this critical moment, Little Mischief inside Jenny sensed the danger and emerged. Its sudden appearance instantly bolstered Jenny's power, manifesting a combined force of dragon and phoenix that counterattacked Kiran. The giant dragon behind Kiran sensed the danger and tried to fend off the attack but showed signs of fear. Kiran was on the brink of being killed by the combined power of Jenny's dragon and phoenix. "Jenny, don't hurt Kiran." Lilian Yanez, who had been watching the fight helplessly, screamed in desperation as she leaped towards Kiran. Boom! Phoenix Cry Mountain echoed with a sound like an earthquake. The clash between Kiran and Jenny's powers felt like the collapse of mountains. In the midst of their collision, Lilian was caught between their forces. Her beautiful and enchanting body, caught in the impact, fluttered like a leaf in the wind. She lost consciousness, and her blood stained her white robe. Kiran and Jenny both saw strange visions. In Kiran's mind, a seductive and beautiful woman appeared, someone he deeply loved. In Jenny's vision, a graceful man appeared, showering her with affection. They seemed like a divine couple loving each other dearly. However, as the scenes shifted, the once loving couple began to have conflicts and eventually fought bitterly. Their final battle ended with both collapsing and dying on the ground. Only in their last moments did they realize their deep love for each other, but it was too late to reunite. The images deeply pained and saddened Kiran and Jenny. Seeing the injured Lilian added to their sorrow. The rampant power within them finally calmed down. They both turned to look at Lilian. "Sister Lilian!" Kiran shouted, wanting to hold her, but he coughed up blood and collapsed, losing consciousness. Seeing this, Jenny also wanted to help Lilian, but fainted. Phoenix Cry Mountain fell into complete silence. Kiran and the two women lay unconscious. At the base of the mountain, the onlookers had long disappeared. Elder Logan, seeing the scene, was astonished. He quickly moved to check on their injuries. At this moment, Horace Moore and Taoist Master Caleb saw their opportunity and flew over like meteors. Sensing their powerful auras, Elder Logan shielded the three unconscious people, protecting them and glaring at the newcomers. They recognized each other instantly. "Taoist Master Caleb, why are you here instead of at 5 Rams Mountain?" Elder Logan questioned. Caleb smiled calmly and pointed at Jenny. "This woman absorbed the dragon vein of 5 Rams Mountain, so I came to take it back." Elder Logan's expression changed, realizing there was trouble. Horace looked at Elder Logan and said, "Elder Logan, we are all part of Imperial Dragon. You don't need to protect them. Step aside and let us handle this." Elder Logan stared at Horace for a few seconds and asked, "Why do you possess the power of the dragon vein?" "That's none of your concern. Just step aside to avoid unnecessary conflict," Horace replied arrogantly, as if Elder Logan was already at his mercy. "So, you stole the power of the dragon vein," Elder Logan said, filled with grief and anger. "Don't waste our time, Elder Logan." "Step aside," Caleb said dominantly. "Don't dream of it. Unless I die here, none of you can touch them," Elder Logan declared firmly, his gaze fierce. "In that case, forgive us," Horace said, stepping forward and striking at Elder Logan. Elder Logan met his attack head-on. Boom! Elder Logan felt like he was swept away by a gale, flying backward. Already injured from preventing the clash of dragon and phoenix forces, he spat blood from Horace's attack. Caleb quickly followed up with another strike, leaving Elder Logan severely wounded and immobile. Elder Logan glared at them with hatred and helplessness. "You brought this on yourself, Elder Logan," Horace said righteously, moving towards Jenny. Caleb approached Kiran. Horace reached Jenny and placed his hands on her, searching for the black force within her. Elder Logan watched helplessly. Horace wasn't trying to harm Jenny, but soon found the black force. He grabbed Jenny's hands and pulled forcefully. Her unconscious body rose as if pulled by strings, a large black shadow emerging and heading towards Horace. Feeling the power, Horace's eyes gleamed with red light and anticipation. The black force seemed to recognize its master and surged towards Horace. Meanwhile, Caleb was preparing to absorb Kiran's soul and the dragon vein's power. Kiran and Jenny seemed destined to become their victims. Just then, another rumble shook Phoenix Cry Mountain. Chapter 1008. The sound was like rolling thunder, earth-shattering and roaring. Phoenix Cry Mountain trembled continuously as if experiencing an earthquake. Taoist Master Caleb and Horace Moore were stunned. Kiran York's soul and the dragon vein's power, which was about to be absorbed by Caleb, suddenly broke free like a person waking up and returned to Kiran's body. Caleb, who felt like a fisherman losing his catch at the last moment, was furious and reached out again to grab Kiran. However, Kiran's eyes suddenly opened, and he leaped up, startling Caleb as if he had seen a ghost. The black force that Horace was absorbing felt Kiran's awakening and, like a frightened child, instantly plunged into Horace's body. Horace absorbed the black force, and his aura instantly became overwhelmingly powerful. Kiran, regaining consciousness, saw Caleb and remembered the pregnant women and children. He coldly said, "You damn demon!" With that, Kiran lunged at Caleb, aiming to strangle him. "Go!" Horace shouted, stepping forward and pulling Caleb out of Kiran's grasp. Kiran tried to attack again, but his body trembled, and the weakness within him robbed him of the opportunity to strike. Horace had already taken Caleb and disappeared in an instant. Kiran, supporting himself with his hands on the ground, watched them escape. He struggled for a long time before regaining his strength and first went to Lilian. Lilian's face was pale and covered in blood, her body soaked in blood, lying motionless as if she were dead. Kiran's heart ached as if pierced by needles. He quickly went to Lilian's side and grabbed her hand. Feeling Lilian's weak pulse, which seemed to be fading, Kiran channeled his energy to restore her strength. His energy entered her body but dissipated like water sinking into the sea. On the other side, Jenny Leo's condition seemed just as dire, her life force weakening rapidly. Kiran felt her weakening breath and grew even more anxious. You need to save them both quickly or they will die, Elder Logan, though gravely injured and unable to move, reminded Kiran urgently. Kiran picked up Lilian and moved to Jenny's side. He set Lilian down and propped up Jenny, placing his hands on their backs, trying to revive them with his energy. However, his energy felt drained and useless, as if it couldn't help. It seemed that the women needed more than energy to survive. They were on the brink of death. Try to connect with their minds. They can survive only by awakening their will to live, Elder Logan suggested. Remembering his past experiences, Kiran focused on calming his mind, holding the women's hands and trying to feel their warmth. At first, there was no response, but Kiran felt his energy gradually enter their bodies over time. The women began to accept his power, no longer resisting. Kiran sighed in relief and continued his mental connection. He felt Lilian's suppressed love for him, a love buried deep within her heart. Kiran realized that despite his marriage and child with Snow Xander, he couldn't let go of his bond with Lilian. A heartfelt call emerged from within him. Lilian, I love you. This inner call seemed to make Lilian's love for him sprout like a seed, spreading and growing stronger. Lilian's body began to heal as she absorbed Kiran's energy. Kiran felt joy and hope, turning his attention to Jenny. The phoenix power within Jenny was like a block of ice, rejecting Kiran's energy. Every time Kiran's energy approached, the phoenix power tried to drive it away. Kiran dared not push too hard, fearing for Jenny's safety, and quickly withdrew. If the misunderstanding between the two of you is not resolved, that phoenix power will never truly awaken. It will only continue to resist you, Elder Logan reminded Kiran York. Kiran York didn't say anything and focused, but he had already begun to think about how to make the phoenix power in Jenny Leo's body give up resisting. Unwilling to give up, he tried repeatedly but failed each time. In his despair, Lilian woke up and advised, "Keep soothing her with your love and presence." Relieved by her recovery, Kiran nodded to Lilian, gathered his energy, and embraced Jenny. The phoenix power within Jenny reacted angrily to Kiran's touch, pushing back fiercely. "Just kiss her and transfer your energy continuously," Lilian instructed. Kiran calmed himself, followed Lilian's advice, and kissed Jenny, sending his energy into her body. Jenny resisted Kiran's kiss, reacting as if being violated, while the phoenix power threatened to erupt, making her body fiery hot. Undeterred, Kiran persisted. After several minutes, Jenny's body gradually lost its red color and cooled, and she reciprocated Kiran's kiss. Chapter 1009. With that kiss, the mountain fell silent. With that kiss, everything came to a halt. With that kiss, the past vanished. Jenny Leo clung tightly to Kiran York, kissing him passionately as if they had been lovers for 3 lifetimes. The hatred they felt moments ago disappeared without a trace, replaced by endless love. Jenny's beautiful face turned as red as a cherry, but she continued to hold Kiran tightly like a starving child finding nourishment. Though aware he was comforting Jenny through the kiss and embrace, Kiran found himself gradually swept up in the emotions, becoming fully engaged in the moment. The more they kissed and embraced, the closer their hearts grew. Eventually, their bodies began to emit a red glow, like 2 red suns illuminating Phoenix Cry Mountain. Their energies intertwined, inseparable like an eternal embrace, creating an atmosphere of harmony and beauty over the land. Witnessing this scene, no one would recall the fierce battle that had taken place. "This must be the legendary harmony of the dragon and Phoenix," Elder Logan murmured, his eyes showing a hint of joy. He had guarded this place for 30 years, aware of the relentless clash between the dragon and Phoenix energies, never once seeing them in harmony. Finally, these two forces had found peace and appreciation for each other. Lilian Yanez also breathed a sigh of relief, knowing there was no longer a life-threatening danger. However, watching the deep connection between Kiran and Jenny, she felt a pang of envy and loss. Love can conquer all. Love can warm everything. Love can possess everything. Kiran and Jenny seemed to embody this truth. Their love spread over the land, repairing the previously damaged Phoenix Cry Mountain and restoring it to its original state. Their combined energies soared into the sky and merged with the earth. When the red glow around them faded, peace and harmony returned to Phoenix Cry Mountain. Exhausted, Elder Logan collapsed to the ground, tears streaming down his face. "Sect leader Yanez, after 30 years, Phoenix Cry Mountain can finally be at peace," he said, looking up at the sky, his voice filled with the hardships and loneliness of his 30-year vigil. A clear phoenix cry echoed through Phoenix Cry Mountain, filling the area with a sense of harmony and peace. The people at the mountain's base, who had fled in fear, calmed down upon hearing the cry and looked up, feeling a sense of serenity. Those who had come to hear the phoenix cry felt their journey had been worth it. The recent events seemed dreamlike yet real, leaving them in a mysterious state. When Kiran and Jenny finally opened their eyes and looked at each other, Kiran felt a strong affection for Jenny. It seemed as if a force within him was drawn to her, and similarly, Jenny felt a powerful attraction to Kiran. With the black evil energy within Jenny gone, Kiran felt much calmer. "Sister Lilian, I can't face anyone looking like this," Jenny said shyly, feeling her swollen lips. Lilian smiled gently. "Don't worry, I can vouch that Kiran bullied you. If he doesn't take responsibility, I'll help you in the future." "Thank you, Sister Lilian," Jenny said joyfully, feeling she had found an ally in support. Kiran, feeling speechless, turned to Elder Logan, who was sitting on the ground. He walked over and placed his hand on Elder Logan's back, channeling energy to heal him. After about 10 minutes, Elder Logan spat out 2 mouthfuls of dark blood and returned to normal. He looked at Kiran gratefully. "Thank you for saving me." Lilian introduced Kiran to Elder Logan. "Elder Logan, this is Kiran York, son of Zara Yanes." Elder Logan's expression turned complex upon hearing this. He grabbed Kiran's hand and said, "Surviving is a blessing in itself." Elder Logan was aware of the massacre that had befallen the York family. Hearing about the death of Zara Yanes, the beloved daughter of the sect leader, filled him with rage. Bound by his duty to guard Phoenix Cry Mountain, he had not left his post in years. Meeting Kiran after more than 20 years, and seeing him conquer the dragon and Phoenix energies, and save him filled Elder Logan with gratitude and emotion. "Kiran, do you know who is behind Taoist Master Caleb?" Kiran asked directly. "Caleb's superior is the current sect leader, Daniel Yarrow," Elder Logan replied. Unfamiliar with the name, Kiran looked to Lilian and saw her face turn conflicted, her brows tightly knitted. "Is Daniel Yarrow responsible for the massacre of my family?" Kiran asked Lilian. After a moment of thought, Lilian replied, "Let's discuss this later. We need to hurry to the next Dragon Vein location for now." Realizing Lilian was avoiding the topic, Kiran felt sure Daniel Yarrow was involved. His desire for vengeance grew, especially remembering how no one from Imperial Dragon had come to honor the dead at the massacre. "Are you heading to Emerald Pond next?" Elder Logan asked, his voice filled with concern. Chapter 1010. "Now we only need to locate the 2 dragon veins at Emerald Pond and Jade Dragon Mountain," Lilian Yans explained to Elder Logan, who had inquired about their progress. On hearing these 2 locations, Elder Logan's expression turned grave. Kiran York noticed the change in Elder Logan's demeanor and understood that his heart was filled with complex emotions. However, he said nothing and simply waited for Elder Logan to speak. After long contemplation, Elder Logan looked at Kiran and said, "The guardian of Emerald Pond is Cassandra Yarrow of Imperial Dragon, who is the daughter of Daniel Yarrow." "Ha!" Kiran couldn't help but chuckle upon hearing her identity. He turned to Elder Logan and said, "Well then, I might as well cause a ruckus at Emerald Pond to draw Daniel Yarrow out." Elder Logan's expression grew even more serious at Kiran's words. He stared at Kiran for half a minute before saying, "Cassandra Yarrow is not only highly skilled in martial arts, but also extraordinarily beautiful." "So what if she's beautiful?" "Daniel Yarrow's daughter must be an old hag by now," Kiran replied nonchalantly. "Whether Cassandra Yarrow is an old hag, I don't know, but she is about the same age as your mother," Elder Logan said, his expression becoming more somber as if he was hesitant to continue. Kiran sensed the underlying implication in Elder Logan's words and smiled. "If you have any information, just tell me directly. No need to beat around the bush." Elder Logan felt a bit embarrassed by Kiran's directness and forced a smile. "Back in the day, Cassandra Yarrow and your mother, Zara Yanes, were known as the twin beauties of Imperial Dragon. They were both stunningly beautiful, captivating many talented men of Imperial Dragon." Kiran's expression changed slightly, surprised by this revelation. He instinctively glanced at Lilian Yanes, who blushed slightly but nodded. Cassandra Yarrow and Master Zara were indeed very beautiful. "In my memory, they are the most beautiful women I've ever seen." Lilian's eyes seemed to flicker with a hint of evasion and nervousness as she described them as the most beautiful women. Kiran, curious, looked at Lilian and asked with a smile, "Could they really be more beautiful than you?" Lilian was taken aback by Kiran's question and felt embarrassed and annoyed. She glared at him and said, "Stop talking nonsense." Despite her playful reprimand, Lilian was clearly flustered. "Do you think only Sister Lilian is the most beautiful?" Jenny Leo interjected, her tone filled with jealousy, clearly unhappy with Kiran. Kiran quickly refocused and asked Lilian, "Just how beautiful is Cassandra Yarrow? Is it really that exaggerated?" "She truly is very beautiful, far more than I am. Even if you consider beauty is in the eye of the beholder, you might still find her more beautiful than your wife, Snow Xander," Lilian said, gathering her courage to look at Kiran. Kiran's expression grew complicated at Lilian's words. He couldn't quite grasp the full meaning behind Elder Logan and Lilian's comments, but he knew there was a hidden message. Whatever, it is what it is. Right now, I just want to find the dragon vein at Emerald Pond. We can deal with Daniel Yarrow later at Imperial Dragon, Kiran said calmly, showing that he wasn't overly concerned about Cassandra Yarrow. Lilian and Elder Logan exchanged glances, seemingly hesitant to continue the conversation. Elder Logan, will you continue guarding Phoenix Cry Mountain? Kiran asked. Elder Logan nodded slightly. I've been at Phoenix Cry Mountain for a long time. I'm no longer interested in the affairs of Imperial Dragon, so I'll stay here. You can leave without worry. Kiran looked up at Phoenix Cry Mountain, knowing that the dragon vein, although restored, still needed protection. Elder Logan was indeed the most suitable guardian. Kiran sincerely said to Elder Logan, I wish Imperial Dragon had more people like you. You are the backbone of Imperial Dragon. I am old now. I don't understand the current Imperial Dragon, but there are still some people with a sense of duty, Elder Logan said, his eyes moist as he turned and walked deeper into Phoenix Cry Mountain. Watching Elder Logan's retreating figure, Kiran felt a sudden sense of sorrow. He could feel the merciless passage of time and the disappointment towards Imperial Dragon from Elder Logan. Kiran's mind wandered to the unseen Daniel Yarrow, knowing that the current state of Imperial Dragon was a result of his actions. Kiran's resolve to kill Daniel Yarrow grew stronger. As for facing Cassandra Yarrow at Emerald Pond, he felt the same determination. Sensing Kiran's killing intent, Lilian felt a wave of nervousness and unease. After descending Phoenix Cry Mountain, Kiran, Lilian, and Jenny returned to their small inn. They quickly packed, changed clothes, and drove away from Cloud City. For them, the trip to Cloud City was a fleeting visit. However, they were glad that the power of the dragon vein at Phoenix Cry Mountain had been subdued. Kiran felt himself growing stronger, his body gradually absorbing the power of the dragon vein and the dragon saliva. This power seemed to be nourishing the dragon vein within him. Jenny liked spending time with Little Mischief, and every time they were together, Little Mischief's energy would unintentionally flow into Kiran, aiding his cultivation. This improvement was evident, even in Lilian, who felt a heightened sense of connection with Kiran through their shared training in the Joyful Odyssey. Kiran felt confident in facing Lady Meiji, firmly believing he could defeat her. Uncertain of Emerald Pond's exact location, Kiran followed Lilian's guidance and continued driving northwest. After a full day of travel, they found themselves in an increasingly desolate area, as if approaching a desert. Just as Kiran was about to ask Lilian for directions, they suddenly heard the sound of rushing water ahead.